here, but we're going to be sharing some stories and some history about Open Road and Woven. Thank you for coming so you can hear us talk about ourselves. That's nice. I'm Brett Klingberg, graduated in 2003, one of the founding members along with Mike Doucette, Jeff Graber, Chris Jansen, 4 out of our 8, and of course Chad Unrup last year. So, sorry about that. Is that okay still? All right. We're going to start out with a little history. Myself and Jeff Graber are going to do this. We're going to try not to be too long. So, but here is a story of how it happened. Jeff's going to fill in some from year 3, and then we're going to sing our first song. The original group, first verse, and we're going to welcome you to sing with us a hymn from the hymnal. So we hope you will do that with us. But how many of you remember Stairwell? Okay, yeah. Stairwell was awesome, right? If you grew up hearing them, they were a men's quartet from Bethel who were not only popular in this area, but became widely known. They were starting to travel nationwide and gain some prominence. They were very good, and I think in the the spring of 1998, they held their final concert in Menn Hall. I heard there was a lot of people there. I wasn't there. But then they ended. And so for a number of years, there was kind of this hole where there was no, well, at that time, men's quartet that was coming out of Bethel College. So when I first came in 1999, a friend of ours, Brad Jansen, mentioned to some of us, maybe we could start something again. And so that's kind of when the idea began to take place. But we were college students, and so nothing happened for about a year and a half. Finally, in November 2000, so 25 years ago this fall, Donna Becker, who is a longtime nursing instructor here, emailed Mike and myself and asked, could we put a quartet together to sing at the hospice tree lighting at the courthouse, Newton Courthouse. So we agreed to do that. And Mike, myself, Brad Jansen, and Josh Gingrich, we worked on 2 songs for that, went down and sang on the Catholic Church steps. And the tree lighting was across the road in the courthouse grounds. So I don't know if they still do that or not, but that's kind of where this all started. We talked about, after that, can we form a group? And we realized 2 things. One, we didn't sound anything like Stairwell, right? We're going to have to get some more guys. And so we began to look for other guys at Bethel who would fill those other 4 parts. And it was a little tricky. We didn't know who. We didn't want to offend anybody. Right? Leave anyone out. And of course, we wanted to look for maybe people who might commit to this. And so we eventually invited Jared Waltner from Freeman, Jeff Graber from Newton, Chris Jansen, Fresno, and Chris Herman from Kingman, Kansas. And so that with myself, Mike Doucette, Brad Jansen from Henderson, and Josh Gingrich from Albuquerque, that was the original Open Road group. We didn't get that name for a while, but we'll get there. That summer, okay, this is before really the internet. Okay, I just want to lay that out. It's just not as easy to communicate or look for stuff. The summer of 2001, some of us attended the Mennonite Church USA Convention in Nashville, where we heard EMU's men's group Full Table sing. They were a group of 10, they were excellent, and we bought their CD. And that's where some of our first ideas for songs came from. We brought the CD home, because you can't share that on the internet, because that didn't really exist, right? And then we listened to it, and we tried to pick some songs we thought we could do. So that's kind of where our music ideas came from. So it was really in September of 2001, so really 24 years ago, that we probably held our first octet practice. And Mike Doucette was the only one who had any experience doing this, and he became our natural leader in that. And the first song we worked up was In Lonely Mountain Ways, which is in our hymnal, which was a song that was kind of catching on here because it mentions Bethel, the words of the song. We're going to sing that here in a little bit. And we need to go through the archives, but our first performance was here in the chapel. We sang that song in the fall of 2001. But we were kind of languishing as a group. As college students do, we didn't have a real way to figure this out. So we asked Bill Esch to give us some guidance. So we had him come in one night, probably at 10 o'clock, that's when we usually practiced, and said, could you please help us figure out how to do this? And so we sang some stuff, he gave us a lot of pointers. And he said, hey, I got a gig for you. In the fall, the President's Club, they're having the donor banquet. If you can get your act together, I'll have you guys break out. The choir was singing, concert choir. I'll have you break out of that and you can do a number. So that gave us something to work for, and we sang the song Sinner Man. There, I remember two things. We sang it really fast. We were all so nervous. But we got a great reception and a lot of encouragement, and people talked to us for a while and gave us enough to say, we can do this, let's keep going. Okay, the other thing that kind of helped us get some public notoriety, right? I don't know how that, yeah. We started singing the Star Spangled Banner at all the home games. Yeah. And I don't know, did you guys do that? Oh, no? Okay. Is that right? Okay. They had a really bad recording of somebody. And I don't know if they're still playing tape cassettes at that time, but it was, or a scratchy CD, I don't know. But they started asking us to sing a lot because it sounded better. And we sang at a lot of home volleyball and basketball games for the 2 years I was in there. I did find a video of that recently. Our first church invitation did not come from the Mennonite Church, but from Kingdom Methodist Church, where Chris Herman was from. So we all drove down, we all stayed the night at his parents' house. Those were the only pictures we have, really, of our first, actually, I don't even know what year that was, but we don't have pictures, sorry, we had disposable cameras. And one of the things that we all remember was that we sang during the church service, we may have had 3 songs. We go down for the church potluck. And they're like, we loved you. Do you have any more songs? And I think Mike, he said, well, we know the Star Spangled Banner. And they're like, do it! So we stood up. And we're like, all right, you know. And we started singing, and they all stood up and went like this. And we were looking at each other like, is this okay? You know, but we got through it, and then we're like, we've got to learn some new songs. I don't think anyone has forgotten that. So how did Open Road get the name? About 10 years ago, I attended Open Road concert, and I flipped through the program, and I was reading, how did Open Road get the name? And I was like, oh, this isn't true at all. It's a really good story. In that version, a homeless man named Open Road attended a concert. I think it was surprise. That did not happen. Here's the true story. I went with a friend to Whitestone Mennonite Church one Sunday, and during the sharing and prayer time, a man from the Whitestone congregation stood up and he told a story. He said, this week I was on my way to McPherson. At the interstate, there was a hitchhiker. Long story short, he eventually picked him up. They drove on, and his name was Open Road. So he told this story about a man who was hitchhiking. This guy has no idea we exist, okay, this Open Road guy. So I brought the name back and said, guys, I have this story, little backstory. We could not figure out a name. We had no good names. The only name we had was BC8. We all hated it, but it was that was in the year of the boy bands, like NSYNC. And 98 Degrees, so we were like, what about BC8 Degrees? Because, we all looked like them, right? And, but we didn't like it, and so I was like, well, how about Open Road after this hitchhiker guy? And about half the group's like, yeah, that sounds pretty good. The other half's like, nah, that's stupid too. And so it was a while, maybe it was a couple of months, and then we finally were like, we have got to vote. And so we voted, Open Road won. It was pretty lukewarm received by the group. It's funny, it's still around 25 years later, because we were all like, yeah, this is okay. That's where the name Open Road comes from. And I just want to mention, I think, just quickly 2 more things. Just one more thing. One of the decisions we had to make was, Stairwell decided that they were going to be a group until they couldn't be a group again. And so the question was, when we graduate seniors, what do? Do we all stay together and all graduate eventually and keep singing? Or do we graduate people out and welcome you in? And we eventually decided to do that all. And I think that's why Open Road still runs it. We kind of had that revolving door. Jeff's going to talk about year 3 and the first CD, and then we're going to sing together.
Yeah, so year 3, maybe we finally knew where we were going. Probably not, but on paper it felt like we did because we did some things that we can still hold on to. We did tangible things, if you will. Recorded the CD, had a CD release party, which was the first ever Open Road standalone concert. That was a big deal for us, and it happened right here. We were certainly excited, but looking back, it was actually probably quite a mess. We'll get to that in a moment. So we really started singing in a lot of churches that 3rd year, and sometimes we would even sing twice in one Sunday. The church relations department knew that we were willing to do it, so they would kind of put us to work on their behalf. And the key to singing in 2 churches in one Sunday is communication. Again, we're college students. We're not good at that. So we agreed to sing at First Christian Church, or First Mennonite Church of Christian in Mount Ridge. And we also agreed to sing at Alexanderville. The miscommunication was telling First Mennonite in Mount Ridge that, yes, we will stay for a potluck. And so they told their whole congregation, 8 hungry boys are coming, make extra food. Oh wait, we have to leave to go to Alexanderville. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We'll figure this out. We're going to sing here, and then we'll go to Alexanderville, but then we'll come back and eat your food, we promise. We love a good potluck. We were happy to do that. Well, a couple days before that, Kansas winter dumped a bunch of snow on the ground. We drove from one place to the other. We sang at Alexanderville. We just need to come back. And we had 2 cars, 4 and 4. And I was in the lead car, and not driving, but I remember we hit an ice patch. We went off the road. I looked to my left, and I just see the other car going right past us, and we came to a stop, just a curtain of snow. No injuries. The car was okay. Joel, it was your car, you think, right? Because you had to pull it out then. Okay, but we have to get there because they made all this extra food for us. So we all piled into one four-door car, Scott Jameson's 4-door car, and got the rest of the way there. And I'm telling you, when we got there, it was like a clown car. The doors popped open, and people just flowed out. But the food was really good. Yeah, so that was one memory that really sticks out to me. We were not good at communication, but also trying to do all we could to help the college at times, that sort of thing. So. Okay, so we decided this is the year. We're going to do a CD. CDs cost money. Problem, we have no money. So we all asked family members for $100 to $200, something like that. We ended up with about $1,000. That was enough to pay for the studio time to record the CD. We're ready to go. Okay, not completely. We don't have a place to record. We found a place to record. Doug Crable here in Newton, Doug and Drew Crable, many of you know them. Doug said, yeah, you can use my recording studio. Cool, we're good. His studio is designed for 1 person and 1 instrument. So we'll just go in 1 or 2 at a time and do it, right? No. We put all 8 of us in there and cranked the air conditioning, and it was awful. The smell by the end was really rough. But about 4 sessions we got the CD recorded, a couple more visits for mastering and mixing, that sort of thing. And then we had a CD. So then we had to do a photo shoot. Don't know how to do that. My sister-in-law did the photo shoot for us. We went out north of Gospel, and many of you know it as Happy Hills Road. And we were real clever. We got on a hill, and there's a great big open road behind. We looked great. Except we're all wearing pearl snap button shirts. And I don't know why. It looks fun. Okay, so we got it all designed. We have a CD, and now we're going to do a release, a CD release party. Except there, the funny part I remember is, okay, what are we going to sing? Well, we're going to sing the 8 songs that are on the CD, because that's all we had. We spent all of our time on that. So it was just kind of a preview, but it happened right here. And I remember we were all very excited, and we started to finally make some money so we could pay our family back. the last piece of that I'll say is that Chris Kerman and I were the last two original members from that group. And we were both scheduled for graduation. So year 4 was the first time that an entirely new group came through. And I can say without a doubt that the quality kept getting better. That would be year 4 or 5, Joel? 2005, so that would be the first time where there were no original members, and the CD that they put out, I was so proud of our CD, and then that CD came out, and it was so much better. Quality, musicianship, everything about it was so much better. But I'll just say that I think the 4, 5, 6 of us that were kind of here, that part of that original group, I don't think in our wildest dreams we ever thought that we would see group number 25. It's just incredible to us. So we're very thankful for all the other members and for Woven picking up and taking that on. But I truly believe this has some staying power, and I think we're pretty proud to be a part of that story. So as Brett said, the first song we worked up was in the hymnal, and that was part of, I think, why we did it, and we tried to do it. So if it's okay with you, the 4 original members and Bill was here. There he is, okay. We would like to sing the first verse, and then if you would feel free, please join us. It is number 589 in the hymnal. We'll sing the first verse, please join us for the other 2 verses.
technically the other 6 members, though we didn't really consider ourselves a full group until we added 3 more on. So Naomi Leary-Kraber now, and Allison Yoder-Hirschberger, myself, Sarah Bullwider-Atherton, and Kelsey Orban, PD. Okay. And Sarah Pohl were the original 6. We began in 2010. We had a lot of parallels to Open Roads formation, though we also had kind of, a pathway set before us by them. And there were also some predecessors to Woven in the same way that Stairwell existed immediately before us was Avenue 8, which I do believe they took their name maybe a little bit off the open road there. And Avenue 8 was started because they had a really strong freshman women's class. And so in women's ensemble, they realized that they could kind of continue this musicianship onward, and they formed a group, but in the way that Stairwell did, they were all graduating at the same time. So there wasn't really an overlap there, and they graduated in 2010, in the spring of 2010, and then we started in the fall of 2010. And it really started because there had been all of these kind of predecessors on the women's side in the a cappella world, but nothing that had continued on like Open Road. So Naomi approached Village about forming a women's ensemble, and they kind of talked through the personnel available and found people in the sophomore and junior classes. So Allison and I were sophomores, and Naomi, Sarah, Kelsey, and other Sarah were juniors. And Naomi just raided the library. And there had not been a women's ensemble, even just like a women's ensemble that the freshman class has usually a pretty strong one every year, but before Bill's time, is that right? So the library had maybe fewer pieces to work with than we would have preferred. So Naomi was rating it for decent literature that wasn't too boring or stuffy, and that 6 people would be capable of singing as opposed to a larger women's ensemble. And then we really had to get ourselves into gear because the Waylon Jennies were coming to the Heston Bethel Performing Arts Series that October. So we picked one song, and that song was Lift Thine Eyes from Elijah. And we worked that one song up in probably 3 rehearsals. And then I found the date, October 21st. The Waylon Jennies came, and they had asked, was there a women's ensemble that they could work with? And we said, kind of. And so we went out to the Heston, one of the churches, and sang, I Just Lift Thine Eyes. And they're like, oh, great, how long have you been working together? 3 weeks, maybe? But they were incredibly complimentary and very cool about it. They worked with also the Heston group, and then they recommended we play the harmony game, which they do on the tour bus, and one person would sing an ooh, and then the other 2 members, or 2 vocal parts, would kind of create a harmony as the kind of lead part would just change their note. We didn't do that too much, it's a little harder with 6, but they were just a great start. The first performance we did was for the Waylon Jennies. Yes, let's see. Then Kelsey went to study abroad in Greece, so we immediately that spring needed to add another member, so we added sophomore Renee Reimer to our group, but still had 6 for that semester. We sang Esto Lestigo on tour, which we all remember with some amount of trauma. Not an easy piece, and it kind of solidified the fact that we needed to have more than 6 people in this group to feel solid. And so that fall of 2011, we added, I'm going to find some of our pictures from our album there. We added Caroline Mayhew and Ariel Silva, now Smith. And yeah, I can fill in the details of where it's from, but they were sophomores. So now we had 2 sophomores, 3 juniors, 4 seniors. And so then we finally felt like we were kind of coming into our own. With 9 people, we were able to sing more difficult pieces. Again, we were very limited by our literature. We were singing songs still maybe a little out of our wheelhouse. I brought a couple of copies of the album we did. We were doing like Mr. Sandman. And we started kind of leaving the Bethel Music Library and finding a lot more pop songs and folk songs. Obviously, we did a lot of Waylon Jennies stuff. We sang Parting Glass, which was the signature song and remains the signature song of Woven, their arrangement of it, an old Irish folk song. We also deviated occasionally from a cappella. We used a lot of guitar. teach ourselves by rote. So we kind of balance that with things like Thine Eyes from the Elijah Oratorio, and some kind of barbershop, Sweet Adeline's kind of music that was very difficult to put together. And in terms of naming ourselves, I think we did that before adding Caroline and Ariel. Yes. I think we named ourselves soon after that Waylon Jennings workshop, and we had considered calling ourselves One Voice. I know we sang One Voice, another Waylon Jennings song, but at some point we were like, we need to have something of our own, and we decided also not to use any road words, just to keep ourselves distinctive. So yes, we ended up with Woven after a good deal of talking about it and some votes and yes, and we wove, yeah, that's right. We wove our scarves together. I do remember, this is for our album art, for our album that we recorded in the spring of 2012. And this is the wheat field just behind Bethel down 24th, before turning on to Kansas and Sweet Wings. And we definitely got those scarves legitimately knotted together, and we're stuck in that wheat field, untangling all our scarves, but the symbolism was there, so it worked. Yes, it was always a really tight-knit bunch. We had Open Road was a very serious ensemble at that point, 10 years in. They sang at KMEA our first year, one of our first years. And they seem to really be on the straight and narrow. And then we're over here throwing in guitars and learning Beatles songs and random things, and always had a good deal of fun. So much so that we really sometimes struggled to rehearse at all. Every time we sing Parting Glass, there's something that we get wrong. In the first verse it's, oh, all the money that I spent. And then the second verse, and all the harm that e'er I've done. And then the second verse is, oh, all the comrades that e'er I've had, and all of the sweethearts that e'er I've had. But very often people accidentally sing, oh, all the comrades, or all the sweethearts that e'er I've done. And we couldn't even get through our signature song sometimes. We also had a song, and I know some of these are, I'm not sure if our original members were there. I stayed in for 4 years because I did a 5th year as a music ed major, as did Renee Reimer, so we got to stick around for 4 years, really. But we also sang a song by Kevin Medley called Silence that ended on a low D. And that is a ridiculously low note. Like Open Road, we were rehearsing at 10 or 11 at night, truly, on Sundays. And that's not a great time to be singing low notes. It's much easier in the morning. And so we would try to sing this low D note, and Ariel and I were on the low notes, and our voices would crack, our voices would break, or we would actually sing it, but then we'd look at each other and laugh, and the word was alone, as we go, like have this Santa Claus moment, and it got to the point where we had to face the wall and rehearse the music, because eye contact was just not possible. Many of those memories come back. We did We Shall Walk Through the Valley. We did a lot of church gigs. It was a very popular way to do music. And there was for us, and there was a humming verse of We Shall Walk, so we're all making that lovely resonant humming face of, and trying to hum all of our notes, and then Ariel would just start forward and start a sermon. Out of nowhere, just start speaking, and it's like, we will not be able to perform in public at all, ever, because every song had an inside joke. We were also part of the first Woven Road collaboration. And I really didn't think about the order of my slideshow when I was doing this, but I will find some Woven Road collaborations here. And our first song that we sang was a Chanticleer arrangement, another HBPA Heston Bethel Performing Arts Series, which sadly has gone by the wayside. But the first song that we sang together was Cells Planets, which was a Chanticleer arrangement. being each other's offering for each other's concerts, but it would be Woven the night before, and then Open Road on Mother's Day, and that went until 2019, almost 2018. I'm told there was a contentious discussion about whether they should combine the Open Road and Woven concerts in 2018, and it was contentious enough that they did not, despite personal conversations, end up doing so. Water bottles may have been thrown. I wasn't there. But in 2019, they started having combined concerts. So there were always collaborations from the get-go, but it wasn't until 2019 that started being a regular thing. Here are a few other Woven Road collaborations. And this is not a full list. These are the ones I have wedding pictures of. And if we go back to Avenue 8, then I can also add my older sister. So all of us were married to Open Road members. And then we have Aaron and Matt Regier in the middle, Allie and Ben Radine, Michelle and Tim Regier, and many others, honestly. Since Woven and Open Road have both been existing, there have been at least 9 married couples. So that's a fun fact. And then yesterday we had this reunion dinner, and we also tried to pull together how many siblings were part of Open Road or part of Woven. And it got a little confusing. The times 2 does not mean like 3 siblings were part of it. There were 2 separate Workman families that had siblings in Woven and or Open Road. 2 separate Unger families, 2 separate Schrock families, but it's a whole family affair out there. So it really has been fun to be part of it. The reunion has been wonderful. We had so many stories to share, but I am also wanting to let those who have a play at 3 to go to have some time for that. So I'm going to invite the original 9 of those of us who could be here, minus Sarah Cole and Caroline Mankey. We're going to sing a song that you may have heard Schwisters do today. Not Estel, I would never. Show Me a Milo. It's in 7/8 and it's in Macedonian, so if you know it, sing along. But we'll do a little show, and then if anyone wants to share some stories, we'll kind of close out that way, and we would also do another round of parting laughs as our final number, but we'll go ahead and sing show, our original. yes, it kept going from there. We sang in European choir tour in 2014. I remember being served wine at a very old Mennonite church and laughing through Hallelujah, which is one of our other signature pieces that we pulled together. I was taking a guess with some of these dates, but I also have to give a shout out to Audra Miller, who probably took every photo for the 5 years she was at Bethel with us. You'll see all of her senior recital photos in the concert choir room, and some of these woven concerts would have been photographed by her as well. I wanted to point out a couple. Recruitment has really changed. This is a lot of shoulder tapping in the original Open Road and Woven histories, just kind of listening during ensembles. That's also glass. Just kind of listening and finding the voice part and the right age of the person that you need in order to continue having people graduate at the right time staggered. And in 2020, sometime around COVID time, started doing auditions, but there were a lot of kind of initiations that went with the recruitment carried out more recent years. That went with recruitment, so I definitely have some, yes, pie-in-the-face recruitments for Woven. I did want to mention, we had some people share stories who couldn't be with us this afternoon, and knowing that COVID was a really hard time, we had some very fond memories of concerts that never happened. So the year 2020, everyone prepped all their music, and then it just kind of left. So it was really nice to also get a chance to come back and sing some things together that we wouldn't have seen otherwise. So I was wondering, even outside of people who have been in these ensembles, if there were songs that are particularly woven or particularly open road. I remember from that 2005 album, a rendition of Blackbird. That was particularly nice. I can't remember who was whistling on it, but it was a stellar whistle. Was that Ben Bigger? All right. And I always think of Hallelujah with Woven because we laughed every time there was a spoken word of rhythm, which I thought that was hilarious. And then Foreign Lander I really liked because I was a low alto and I wanted to sing the low notes. So I thought for the Woven and Open Road people who are here today, are there any songs they should be thinking about bringing back? They can do Star Spangled Banner for their... we always did Somewhere Over the Rainbow just as an alternative for our thank yous for potlucks. But yes, if anyone wants to reach out, we had some stories from tour, some songs from that stuck with us. I know I heard about a younger group that also recorded with Doug Cradle. I think he's done a lot of our CDs. We recorded in the chapel. We did not pay for studio time. And I also think we might have dipped into some open road funds because we did not earn money for a while. So thanks for that. But yes, I think that Doug Cradle kind of got really creative trying to deal with the amount of people in these ensembles in his particular studio space. And I did hear tell that someone was made to stand on a table during some of their songs to help with the balance. And yes, stories from rehearsals are always things ridiculous, but looking at the time, maybe we could end with Party Glass. So anyone who wants to sing along, who might know it, any part, you are welcome to sing. We'll have any members of Woven who wants to join up. It seems like an appropriate closing song. I have a couple of Open Road albums and the first Woven album, if anyone wants to check it out afterwards. And what here?
us